So did.
Dude, yesterday I got electrocuted.
What? It's all casual. No big deal. Casual.
I got electrocuted. Like serious electrocuted.
At home?
Yes.
What?
So I got an electric fly swatter because it's fly season. And
Oh,
there's flies. Do you have flies too?
They are so disrespectful.
They're awful.
They're so disrespectful.
They're everywhere. So I'm running around swatting it, and our fly swatter broke. So I'm ordering a fly zapper. It comes in, it's the size of a tennis racket. And so I'm turning it on, and then I'm just okay, just barely touching it, and it's not that big of a deal. I was like, okay, cool. And then it tilts, the head moves. And so it's on, and I grab it to turn it, and I'm completely shocked all up my arm.
Shut up.
I was like, what the fuck just happened? I feel fine.
Okay.
I think.
That's great.
I got zapped.
She said I got electrocuted yesterday. Okay, let's do this. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Humanhood series with your girl, Melanie Peralta and
Casey Riley.
And as always, we are here to humanize your human experience and make personal development more personal. Whew. Today, we are going to be diving into, honestly, something that is really so special and sacred to my heart.
Yeah.
And something that I'm so rich in. And every single time I am moving through adversity in my life, I am reminded of the richness that I have. And the richness is in sisterhood. And sisterhood with your blood sisters, if you are blessed to have a sister and to have a relationship with your sister. And if you don't have a blood sister, the sisterhood that you can create with the chosen women in your world. And Casey and I, we've built such a beautiful sistership together over how many years?
4 years.
Has it just been 4 years?
Just 4 years.
Bro, it feels like so much longer than 4 years.
I know, because everything we do is deep.
Yeah, yes, because everything that we do together feels like a lifetime.
Yes.
Truly. Okay. Yeah, so the reason why it felt important for us to dive into this today is because it's such a prominent part of our lives. And there's so many times where you're talking about something and you're like, yeah, I was on the phone with my sister about this, and me and my sister, and you are so close to your sister. Yeah. And I am super, super close with mine, but it wasn't always that way. Me and my sister have gone through seasons of our sistership.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, I'm in such a beautiful chapter of life where my tribe of sisters is deep and thick and dense.
Yeah.
And my sisters will pull up. Like they will,
yeah.
So it felt like just such a valuable part of life that gets to be shared because what's your sibling situation like?
I have one sister.
And that's it?
And that's it. My dad has my biological dad has two other
but
kids,
as far as siblings that you have bonded relationships with, it's just your sister.
Just my sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so glad that you have the relationship with her that you have. You want to talk? What's her name? I don't even know her name.
She's the best.
I don't even know her name.
Her name's Veronica.
Veronica. Hi, Veronica.
Veronica con huevos. That's what we call her. She's the best. Honestly, so she is, I think, 2 or 3 years older than me. It kind of switches off when you have your birthday.
Yes.
But we are polar opposites. I would love to have her and your sister on and then get their perspective on us and vice versa and whatnot, because she hears chaos coming out of my mouth. When I talk about the one person I can really be myself around is my sister.
Yeah.
She hears my spirals. She hears the worst thoughts that come out of my head and my mouth. And she is the least judgmental person ever. She just listens and asks questions. And that's it. And she has been, I don't know what I would do without her. I really, really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's incredible. I would say we've always been pretty close. Maybe not so close when we were younger growing up, but definitely once like we got into our adulthood, we just somehow built such an incredible bond. We spend like an hour a day on the phone.
A day?
A day.
Wow.
Literally.
See, everybody has that one person. Everybody has that one sister or friend or that one person that like that's the person that you just talk to in the minimal moments of your day.
Literally. You know that Lizzie McGuire video where it goes, well, that's my life. And she hangs up?
Yeah.
Have you seen that clip?
Yeah.
Literally every time we get off the phone, we're like, okay, that's my life. Hang up. Because
See
we
ya.
just use each other when we need to talk about anything.
No, listen, I just use my sister just to get out of bed some days.
Oh.
Like, I'm like, or I'm like, someone like Jen.
And that's the sister who came to Transcend.
Yes.
Okay, the one
She's
you're
my
always
only
talk-
sister.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, I have 4 brothers and 1 sister.
How's your relationship with your brothers?
Good.
Okay.
Well, see, this is the thing. When we were younger, I took care of my brothers a
That's
lot.
right.
I was the big sister that took care of everybody. So me and my brothers have this relationship where it's like there's just love and respect and care. And like that's it. I also never lived with them.
Okay.
Like lived with them. So we never had beef. We didn't have like the sibling fighting stuff go on because we just didn't our life wasn't set up that way.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm close with all my brothers in a way. This is what I'll say. I'm close on a daily, like regular life basis with the oldest of the 4 the most because we probably talk the most. The 2 older brothers, I'm like, we're very active relationship. My 2 younger brothers, it's just like that deep, deep love, but we don't really talk and we don't
Yeah.
really see each other. They're both autistic.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have 2 autistic little brothers.
Is that the fighter?
No.
Okay.
No, the fighter's the oldest of the 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have Edward, Andrew, Javi, and Emilio, all in that order. Javi and Emilio, they're on the spectrum. Yeah, and Emilio, he will always need to live with somebody. Like he will always need to be in the care of someone. But he's like my baby in a way.
How old is he?
He's not a baby. And if anything, it's funny because he's the baby.
Yeah.
But he looks the oldest
Yeah.
out of everybody because he's got this big beard and he's like a good sized man, you know? I want to say Emilio's probably like 24,
Okay.
25 maybe. But
Yeah.
like he's technically a grown up, but he's a baby.
Yeah.
And so every time I'm around him, he just wants to lean against me and just like hug me and just talk to me. But he's very antisocial. So if he wants to talk to you, then he loves you and he likes you.
Okay.
And when I'm around, he's just like a baby that wants me is how he feels.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I love those people who you just want to be near them. Like Monique, I just want to hug her all the time.
Oh.
Like you're so warm and cuddly. Like I just want to be with you.
Yeah. And so that's my situation with my brothers, but I love being their sister.
Yeah.
You know, like my brother, the oldest of them, the fighter, he got into a very severe car accident
That's right.
this week, and he literally could have died. And just calling him and talking to him and just being so happy that he's alive, and and then my mom called me this morning telling me something about my other brother that he's going through, so then I'm gonna call him later.
Yeah.
And just being the sister that shows up, being the sister that's there, being the sister that lets you know that I care about you and you're on my mind and you can call me if you need me. Like learning how to be that
Yeah.
is such a beautiful thing.
So speaking of that, my sister, we always talk about her. Take a shot every time one of us mentions our sister.
Well, that's what this episode is about.
Yeah. So my sister was telling me, I hope you
Veronica,
I hope you don't mind that I'm sharing this. But we talk about these different relationships with like friendships, with sisterhood, and just all these different types of relationships. And she's like, has been very reserved and to herself. Like the quiet sister, the one who's just kind of like, to herself.
Yeah.
And she really doesn't love meeting new people. Like, she's totally friendly and she'll sit here and talk to whoever, but like she doesn't seek out friendships like that. And when she does, she's like, God, I'm just so busy. Like, I don't, like, how do I maintain like a friendship? Like, this is weird. And so she was saying that she's having a hard time. How do I articulate this? Having a hard time actually knowing that people care about you that aren't your family. So she was saying something like, and even with the family sometimes too. So she's a runner. She lost 75 pounds. She's on this incredible weight loss journey. She looks absolutely amazing. And she's like doing all these runs and whatnot. And she's like, oh yeah, I could send you a link so you could track me on the run. And I was like, send me the link. And she's like, you would want to watch me run? I was like, yes, Veronica, I want to watch you run. Like, of course, like, we're not near each other. I can't be with you. And she's like, it's so weird to me that people care that much about what I'm doing. She's like, that's really new to me. I was like, people do care.
Yeah.
Because her and I grew up kind of just staying out of the way, not being the burden, just taking care of ourselves. And what I have learned through all of my new friendships is that people really do care.
Yeah.
They love you. They want to help you. They want the updates. They want to celebrate you. They want to be there for you when you're down in the dumps. And I've really learned that, but she hasn't experienced that with friends yet. And so I'm just kind of like softly letting her know people actually do want to be there for you and they do care about your run.
Yeah.
Like I was telling her, I'm like, please post a picture of like your weight loss journey. Like people are going to be so inspired and so proud of you. And she was like, I don't know. I don't really feel comfortable with that. And then she posted it and I'm like, look at you go. Like everyone's probably so happy for you, you know? And so it's just interesting, like how we all have our different dynamics and beliefs around sisterhood and friendships and like even familial friendships. Because some siblings don't
talk,
care about each other.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. And so that's been really fun for her and I to like kind of just talk about as we both evolve.
That's funny that you say that because I was in a conversation with someone recently who my friend, Sam. Yeah. Sam Chung.
Okay.
Who is a guest, has been a guest on the Human Hit series. And she came to visit, right? And we met at RGC just barely in March. Mm-hmm. And since then, we're like, we go together, girl. Yeah. Like, we just do. And we had the whole weekend together. Me, her, and Rocky were sharing the weekend that we had together. And one of the girls who we met at RGC, she was just like, I loved watching you guys. It felt like I was in a movie of a friendship that I always wished that I had, but I didn't ever know actually existed outside of the movies.
Yes.
Yeah, she's like, it felt like it was like a Sex in the City or something. And I'm like, Sex in the Desert.
This dry ass desert.
But she was expressing that she has always desired that, but she didn't actually know that it was real. Mm-hmm. And it has been so beautiful to show people through many avenues, especially retreat, that yes, girl, this type of sisterhood absolutely exists. Man, so I was telling Casey, y'all are like all in the very subtle updates of my love life. I am not going super deep, but if you've been listening consistently, you've subtly been updated about my love life. So I am back on the market.
Her Tinder profile is back up.
I've never been on Tinder.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not a Tinder gal. And I don't know if I'll get back on the sites. But I'm back on the market in general. And I was really sad about it the first day. Yeah. And so I called my sisters and no one was available.
That's the worst. When you're like, ring, decline, ring.
Well, I called all the sisters that were in the area that I was in because I was like, who can I go to right now? I need a fucking hug, bitch. I ended up going to my dad's and just crying to my dad. Dude.
Sometimes you need a sister, sometimes you need a dad.
Dude, I'm actually so glad that none of them were available because I hate to say it, but my last resort was going to my dad's house, which was down the street from where I was at the time. But I actually didn't realize how much I needed like a fucking hug from my dad.
Yeah.
Dude. And then later we talked about it. Side note real quick. Later we talked about it and I was just like telling him, I was like, thank you so much for just holding me. Cause I cried it out for a little bit. I did. I was so excited about this situation. And it was like, you know, ended on healthy terms, but I was still like bummed out about it not working. So I cried on him and he just like held me and loved me while I cried on him. And I don't really do that with my dad very often.
I was just thinking that. Like, obviously, I'd have no idea, but like I would be so uncomfortable crying in front of my dad.
Yeah, like I don't really do that very often. So we talked, he called me the next morning and he was like, Mija, just calling to check on you and see how you're doing. And I told him, thank you so much for for loving me in that moment. I'm so grateful that I have a dad in my life that I can come to and cry to like that in those types of moments. And I'm like, I really, really needed that. It meant everything to me. And then he started crying because he's so emotional.
Oh.
You know, he started crying and he was just like, he's like, I'm grateful that we have the relationship that we have, that I get to be that for you. He's like, you know, it really is crazy being a parent to an adult and having those moments where they still need you. And I'm like, it was like a whole moment.
Yeah, you needed your dad.
Yeah,
especially considering it was like a breakup.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah, and I was so excited about it that I actually talked to my dad about it. And he was excited about it too because he really liked the person. So it was like a thing. It was like my dad.
The unnamed person.
No, I would never name drop. Okay. And so it was just like he was in the know.
Yeah.
So if he wasn't in the know, then maybe I wouldn't have gone to him because it would have been different. But anyways, one of the sisters, back on track, one of the sisters that I had called that was nearby that day, Monique, shout out to my sister Monique, she didn't answer. So then the next day she calls me and she's like, hi, what's up? I'm returning your call. And I'm like, this happened. And she's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, do you need me to come over? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, I'm coming over right now. I know. She's like, she's like, you want me to bring my instruments? Absolutely. Say less. I'm bringing my instruments. So she brings all her sound healing instruments, chia seed pudding, electrolyte package.
Package.
Bro, she brought peaches.
She's dehydrated.
Now that is like high quality sister service right there. Dude, she's like, I didn't invite you to. I'm like, you're the one, dude. You are the one. So she just listened, you know, and we just talked, and then she gave me the sound healing session of my freaking life, dude. It was so amazing. And I was just laying there when I was done, just in so much gratitude that I have friends like this.
Yeah.
And she's a professional. She does that for a living. She makes good money doing that.
Yeah. And
she's just coming to my house and at the drop of a dime and showing up for me in that way. And she stayed for hours. Yeah. And I have so many friends who would do that for me.
Yeah.
You know, like, so anytime I'm going through any adversity or any type of sadness, I really can't even stay sad that long because I have so much love and support in my life. Even the day when I was feeling a little bit in a funk about business stuff and I was like, I need you. Can we talk? You're like, yeah, let's talk. And we talk. And you're like, I feel so seen by you, you know? So anytime I'm in any type of energy, I really don't stay there long because my support system, especially from my sisters, there's no words.
Yeah, having a support system is so important. And just how you mentioned the like sex in the desert friendships, I feel like I just recently started having close friendships like that over the past probably 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And it really makes all the difference. So at the end of last year, after I had that really rough year, Jacqueline and Lauren, we like made this little pact. We're like, we're no longer going to suffer in silence. So text me, call me, anything that you need, like from any of us, please, like do not suffer in silence, no matter what it is. And there have been so many times where I would send them a voice memo, even when we launched the podcast, like the very first episode. Remember how nervous we both were for episode 1? I had so much fear coming up, and I just sent them a voice memo, and I was like, girls, this is how I'm feeling right now. And I started crying in the voice memo.
Aww.
I was like, I have so much fear going on. And I went into like a whole thing of like how much this was actually bringing up for me. And I ended it with, what I need from you is validation. What I need from you is like positive affirmation here. And they were like, boom, sending back voice memos, and Jacqueline sending prayers and all these things. And it just felt so special to be able to share, versus if I didn't have them, I would just be spiraling. I'd be going through the process alone. I would be, again, suffering in silence, scared, versus expressing it out in a way and then asking for what I need and then getting it back. There are so many elements to that whole thread right there.
Yeah. I love where you said, this is what I need right now.
Yeah.
So many people would not say that.
Yes.
That is so key. You have to tell people how to show up for you sometimes.
Yeah.
They don't always know. Even when Monique was giving me the sound healing session, I really intuitively felt like I needed, because she put the bowls on my body.
Yeah.
I felt like I needed one in my sacral, and she only put one on my chest and on my solar plexus. And then when she took them off, I told her, I said, can you put one here? And she said, absolutely. I was actually feeling that, but I just didn't listen to it.
Yeah.
So then after, she was like, I'm so glad that you asked for what you needed in that moment.
Yes.
So I was able to give it to you. A lot of people won't even state the need.
They will not state the need. And that goes into so many things. So I get massages by Monique also. And usually when I get massages from people, like I will not speak up. If I'm like uncomfortable or the pressure, like, I don't know. I'm like, just suck it up, Casey, you know. But with Monique, when you feel safe with someone, she's like, how's the pressure? Actually, this is what I actually want.
Yeah.
You know, it's like exercising, what do you need?
Yeah.
And when you receive it back, because a lot of times people don't receive it back, which is why they stop asking for what they need, especially like in relationships.
And then that's when the relationships get weird.
Yeah.
That's when the friendships are like, oh, well, she wasn't really there for me. Or, you know, so going into these relationships that we have, the sisterhood experience that we desire, a lot of it comes from you and how you show up and who you are.
Yeah.
I wasn't always the type of person that showed up in somebody's lives that made them want to show up for me.
Right.
If anything, it was like, no, bitch, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You know? And even with my sister, like I was saying earlier, me and my sister haven't always been as close as we are now. We've gone through so many stages of our relationship. At one point, this is an interesting dynamic. The big sister, little sister dynamic, where the big sister is always big sissing you.
Is she the big sister?
No, I'm the big sister. Yeah. Is always, no, me.
It's big sister energy.
When the big sister is always big sissing you, and what I mean by that is like, she's always trying to tell you what to do with your life. She feels like the authority in the relationship because she's the big sister.
Okay.
And I used to do that to my sister all the time. I'd be like, you shouldn't be doing this. And I would be like, and where should is in the room, shame is in the room. So I would be subtly shaming her for her choices and her behavior and the things that I didn't agree with. And I was just the big sister that would be disappointed, you know, and feeling righteous in that because I'm her big sister and I'm here to protect her. And that relationship created so much friction, so much resistance between her. For me, she was like resisting me, get away from me, leave me alone. I'm keeping my life to myself. I don't want to tell you anything because this is how you're going to show up.
Yeah.
As if you know better and you're so protective and you're so... I showed up like that for when I was still in my unconscious years.
Yeah.
Like, I knew better.
Oh, okay. That's bringing up some stuff for me and my sister. So she's the big sister.
Okay.
But she never behaves that way with me. Like when I say she's the best, like she really is. But I would show up that way with her. And so, when I like first got into health and wellness, I was shooting everyone, like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And what I would start to realize, and I think she still does it sometimes now, where she'll say like, oh, I'm ordering something, but like you wouldn't approve of that, or
The
like
disclaimer.
Yeah, like a little disclaimer, and I'm like, you don't have to say that anymore. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I'm not judging you.
I'm not judging you anymore.
Yeah, anymore is the key, because we used to.
Yes, and I don't think it was more so from a judgment. I think it was more so I want you to do better.
It was a protective space.
It was a protective space.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a hard judgment.
Totally.
But I realized when people would start making comments like that to me, because a lot of people in my life would, but you would never do this or whatever. I'm like, I'm showing up in a way that people don't feel safe enough just to be themselves, because they think I'm going to think some way about them.
Yeah.
And so when I started having those realizations, I really started to take an internal inventory of how I was showing up. And I was like, I don't ever want someone to think they can't eat ice cream in front of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like thinking some type of way about them.
Yeah.
Because it's not true, but clearly I'm showing up in a way that's making them feel that way.
Right.
And so that was like the dynamic with her and I. And now I'm just like, I don't comment on anything with that ever, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of like the big sister.
Well, it's always some sort of, it's not always about the age. It's just who is the one in this dynamic that feels like the authority figure. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's in friendships too and stuff. It's like, who's the friend that feels like the authority here?
Yeah. Who's the know-it-all? Let's just be real.
And who has the most dominating energy?
The alpha.
Yeah. And so I had to grow out of that to make my sister feel safe with me again.
Right.
And it took time. It took years for us to mend that. And for me to evolve, to stop being such a judgy, overprotective fucking
Biatch.
little bitch. For real.
Judgy biatch, just say
For
it.
real. And so now, and it has come with also vulnerability too, because my sister seeing my shortcomings or my failures or my heartbreaks or my shit has also made her feel safer to share hers with me. And that vulnerability piece, man, it's so important. That's how you actually get to safety with people, because it's a saying, oh, you feel safe with me, that makes me feel safer with you.
Yes.
Yeah. And with that, I had an experience with a sister recently where we haven't talked in a while, and we didn't talk in a while because she had something that she didn't want to tell me about yet. And she didn't want to lie to me, so she was just avoiding me.
Okay.
And so I told her, I said, hey, I really missed you. I felt a little abandoned by you, and you're a grown-ass woman. You don't have to tell me everything. You are entitled to your secrets and your privacy. And it's not that you're hiding anything or lying to me. You're just owning your own things in the way that you want to. I don't have to be in the know of everything.
Yeah.
I honor your secrets. I honor your personal secrecy. If you feel like you need to keep that a secret at this time for whatever reason, I honor that. And I feel like that has also transitioned my relationship with my sister, because I know she keeps things from me. And in the past, I wasn't okay with that. I did not surrender to her sovereignty in her secrecy. I was like, bitch, you didn't tell me about that?
Yeah.
What the fuck? And now I'm like, you don't have to tell me. That's yours. If you want to tell me, you can tell me. I'm here.
Yeah.
But if not, I'm not mad.
Yeah.
And that was actually a big shift for me to make, because when we are super close to someone, we can feel really entitled to all of their to be in the know.
Yeah.
We can feel really, really entitled to be all up in their biz, to be all up in the know. And if I don't know, then I feel like we're not as close.
Right.
But sometimes there just are things that are sacred. There are things that maybe they come with way too much shame. And sometimes there's things that is just like, I don't know what to do with this yet. I'm not going to tell anybody until I'm clearer on it. And we have to learn how to be able to hold our sisters in a healthy way through these different things, because that was a nuance that I barely learned how to navigate. It's giving a different level of grace.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's giving a different level of grace, because even the last time that I saw Patricia, I had called her a couple times, or called her, I think maybe once or twice, but I called her and she didn't answer and she never called me back. So then when I saw her, she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I didn't call you back. And I said, girl, you don't got to call me back. I don't care. I love you. We're good. I ain't tripping. You don't got to call me. I know you're a grown-ass woman with 2 kids and a husband and a career, and you don't got to call me back. I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's not easy, because I can admit sometimes I don't always have it in me to show up like that. Sometimes I do get salty.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do get a little salty.
Okay.
So I think it's like with the situation though, energy is loud, man. I notice the moments where I get salty is where I feel like there is a blatant disregard for connection.
Yeah.
Like, I know Patricia cares.
Yeah.
There's the energy of care and connection there. So, ooh, this is getting good. This is getting layered.
Ooh.
So, okay. I noticed that in romantic relationship too. When I know that there's care and genuine love and I feel connected with you, I have more space for grace when it comes to the things that could be uncomfortable. AKA, I've been calling you and you never call me back. I notice the moments where I feel salty, like a saltine cracker, flaky and salty, is when I'm in an experience with a friend or a relative or whoever it is that I don't feel the love, care, and connection with.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, it doesn't feel okay. It feels like something's wrong, or it feels like something's off. And it's like, are you avoiding me? Or, you know, that grace doesn't show up as much for me when I can feel, when the safety isn't established energetically. You know what I mean? Have you ever felt that way?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I think for me, it's more so there's just those people who are always like that, right? They never respond, they never call, they never do anything. And that's just their identity and their personality. And with those people, I'm just kind of like, I never really feel cared or connected to. So that's just who you are.
Right.
But I limit my connection with them.
Right.
But no, you're absolutely right. Like when there's a healthy foundation, there's more room for grace and all of that. You know, like
The certainty is there.
the certainty.
It's like, I know you love me. It's all good.
And I think that's a reason why some people don't want to form close friendships and relationships, because they can be a lot of work. They really can be. It'd be easier to go on your merry way in life and not inform anyone of anything and not have these conversations. But when you start involving people or telling people about things in your life, they want updates. And now you feel like you owe them something and you have to keep them updated. And it's this whole thing. And so I always think about people's capacity.
Right.
Like, what's their capacity right now? Like, Lauren was going through a bunch of crazy stuff, like, with her house right now. And she was like, I'm telling you this once, don't ask me about it. I was like, got it. She's like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But here's what's going on. I'm like, cool, I won't ask you until you bring it up. Because she's just like, I don't have the energetic capacity. Everyone's asking me about it.
Right.
You know, and so I get that too. And so now I'm mindful of what I share as well, because I know you're going to ask me about it because you care. And so it's like, if I don't want to have these follow-up conversations with people, I'm not bringing it up because I don't have capacity to maintain these updates with all of these people.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing too. It's just like, for real, everybody's so different. Everybody is different. Jen's like, texts me on the way to the thing. Hey, hope everything goes well. Text me when you're done. Let me know how it goes. I'm like, okay. So I text her.
Okay.
And then I've got my other soul sister who's like, hey, I'll call you when I have time. Don't hear from her for months. And I'm like,
Me, I'm never answering the phone.
Yeah, but like.
But I'll text back.
Yeah, you do text back.
I'm a good texter.
You're a great texter. Yeah. And so that there we go. Another level of acceptance.
Yes.
Of who people are and how they are.
Exactly.
And accepting your own self.
And being okay with that. Everyone's different.
Right.
You know, if you are, I'm not going to answer the phone 99% of the time. So don't get mad at me about that.
Yeah.
If you want to get a hold of me, text me.
Totally.
You know?
But also, you get to choose who you stay connected with. And I remember one time I was in a season of my life where I was like, I need to be surrounded with people who give me as much as I give them. I remember being in a season when I was in my last relationship. I remember being in a season where I felt like at the time a lot of my friendships didn't have, and not like because they didn't want to, but just because where they were in their life, they didn't have a lot to offer me as far as what I needed from my friendships in that season of my life. Yeah. I was feeling unfulfilled with some of my dynamics because I was just like, I need dynamics like this right now. And no fault that these particular people, they're not in that space to even offer that to me.
Yeah.
So I need to prioritize getting those social needs met and staying connected with the people in my life that bring that into my world. And sometimes that's not even just with women. Like, we're talking about sisterhood, but brotherhood's a real thing too, man. And gosh, I am so grateful. I have such beautiful brotherhood in my life. And I think because I was raised by a man, I work and do so well with high quality platonic masculine relationships. Like, I've always been that way, actually. I've always had guy best friends in high school. Me and Javante. Bro, me and Javante were roll dogs. And for real, that was my roll dog, for real. And it's so funny because the narrative, people always say men and women can't be friends. I rebuke that to the 10th degree. I have always, my entire life, had friendships with men. And sure, every now and then, you definitely have those friendships where it's like, he's your best friend, but he's in love with you.
Yeah.
Very real. But I've also experienced the opposite. Because between Javante and I, there's never been an ounce of romantic energy between us ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And that's why when him and I were super tight and we would hang out all the time and I would go pick him up from his house and we'd roll to the party, he was with Betty at that time. And Betty, when her and I became friends, she told me, she was like, you were the only friend that I would be okay with Javante hanging out with because I felt your guys' energy. Like, I knew it was pure. And it always has been. And so that is real.
Yeah.
Very, very real. And those are fruitful dynamics too. But all that to say, getting what you need, getting your emotional, social needs met from your friendships by prioritizing connection with the people that have what you desire. Like, they have it to give.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to want to go make friends with a bunch of new moms if you're actually in an era of your life where you need to get out more.
Right. Right. Or you don't have children.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, what do you have in common at that point?
Totally.
Yeah. Speaking of brotherhood, I don't really have a lot of
I know
guy
it's sad
friends.
about you.
I don't.
Yeah, what's up with that? What's up with that?
I work a lot with men.
Yes.
Like, I've always worked in industries where men were always like the prominent person there. I love working with men. I love the masculine energy. In terms of friends, I feel like all of my male friends are Brian's friends because we all went to high school together.
That makes sense.
And we all like kind of grew up together, that I consider them my friends. But there's only one friend out of his group of friends that I would ever call if I like really needed to talk to someone. And I don't even really do that.
Yeah.
But whenever him and I get together, we're like super chatty, and Brian's like, what are you guys talking about over there? We're like, spiritual stuff. But that's like really my only experience with that. And then my brother-in-law, speaking of like brothers, I'm so happy he's in my life. So I have a brother figure. We are pretty much the same age. We went to high school together. Like, he's just so incredible. So it's so valuable having men in your life. I love hearing like stories from men and how they think. Like, I love being a fly on the wall. I love listening to male podcasts.
I love the male perspective, man.
The male perspective.
You guys are so great.
It's so fascinating to me. Two of my co-instructors over at Somatic, shout out Samir and Adam, we've formed a really tight bond, mainly virtually because we don't live in the same place.
That's like me and Nate.
Yeah. And so we actually do spend a lot of time together virtually, and it's so wonderful, like sharing, you know, what's going on in my life with them and them sharing with me and just like teaching each other things and like evolving together, but it's in this virtual space.
Yeah, which is like crazy how deep you could get with people that you barely even have been in the physical same place physically with. Yeah.
Yeah, but I always like in high school, all of my guy friends, it did always like I ended up hurting their feelings, every single one of them. And I think that's kind of like a program that I have, like, don't get close to men, because my history with that is they fall in love with me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a very real thing. Trust me.
And that's only my high school experience. So any of my current male friends, I don't think that. But that was every single guy in high school. I genuinely thought we were just best friends.
And they always loved you.
They always loved me. And I tell Brian the stories, and he's like, you actually thought they were Casey. Like, we had this whole conversation about asking people to prom. And I was like, all my best guy friends asked me. He's like, yeah, because they wanted to sleep with you. And I was like, no, they didn't. They just saw me as a friend. He's like, Casey, wake up. I'm like, oh.
No. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a very real thing. We're not living in the delusion. Honestly,
living in the delusion.
Especially when you're a beautiful, attractive, physically on the inside and out woman, that's bound to happen.
Yeah.
You know? So that's another thing too, is knowing how to be a man's friend.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got close with Bishop, who's Sam's partner, I remember he said that to me. He was like, you know how to be a friend to a man. And because women, don't take it personal, ladies. We can be very naive with our energy.
Yes.
We can.
Yeah.
And we can be very naive with the signs and the signals that we put off and how men are receiving them.
Yes.
And, you know, and I always take it back to me being raised by a man, solely by a man, no woman in the house. I feel like I just learned different things subtly. And so I always knew how to be with men in a way that wasn't overly feminine, that could activate any feelings. Yeah. And so when Bishop pointed that out to me, I love him so much. He's one of the most amazing human beings in my life. Such an incredible mirror and reflection for me always. I was like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
That's why I have so many solid, healthy, high quality brotherhoods, like brotherhood friendships in my life, is because I do know how to be friends with a man.
Yeah.
And I know how to manage my feminine energy wisely so that it's not misinterpreted. But even with that,
it can
you
still happen.
You still can't control if a motherfucker love your ass, because I've definitely experienced that a lot in my life too, and it's not always fun when you've got to, you know, but if you establish enough respect, then somebody could be like, okay, cool, I won't, I'm sorry.
Then it ruins friendships. Like my high school best friend, we were best friends, and then we went to prom together, and
he's like, this is my one chance.
I caught the vibe that was his hope, and I just avoided him the rest of the night because I was like, I cannot, never spoke to me again. Yeah,
well, see, a real sister wouldn't go to prom with you. Like, think about, sometimes you really do have to treat it like, if he was your actual brother, would you go to prom with him as his date? Fuck no.
Well, no, I didn't call him my brother. I said we were friends.
Well, I know that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, if it's, you have to treat those dynamics as if it is a brother. Otherwise, you know.
Yeah.
But the art of being a sister. Let's get back to the ladies.
The art of being a lady and a sister.
The art of being a sister. There's an art.
Yeah.
There really is an art to being a sister. For real, for real. And I've been learning it more and more and more.
Yeah.
I feel like the more that I evolve as a woman, the more that I get established in being a high quality sister.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't always the type of woman that would go to your house and wash your dishes for you.
Yeah.
Or go to your house and cook something for you at your house.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't always that type of woman.
Yeah.
And now I am. And every time I come over, I make us matchas at your house.
Yes. Matchas all afternoon. Like, I'm really hyper right now.
Cacao, turmeric latte, whatever Casey wants, I'm going to make it. But I wasn't always that way because I wasn't always that woman. Mm-hmm. And now I am that woman. Now I am the woman that can make somebody feel safe and not judge.
Yeah.
That could actually nurture somebody. That could have the tough conversations.
Yeah.
So again, it all goes back to who you are. You can't sit here and desire these types of friendships and these types of bonds if you're not the type of person that could inspire a bond like this to exist.
Yeah. And just the sister wounds that are out there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that go into that, but women have historically been really awful to one another.
To each other, yeah.
You know, the competition and just everything. I feel like it's always been very prominent.
Yeah, well, think about where that started, dude. It's always a primal thing. Mm-hmm. It's mating. It's the primal competition of who's gonna get the leader of the tribe, who's gonna get the strongest guy.
I was gonna say something really effed up right now.
Don't say it, Casey. But that's ultimately what it was. Because you watch fucking Bridgerton. Like, who's the diamond? Okay, it's always, in a sense, been this air of competition between us for the top dog.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, who's the most eligible bachelor? And then who's the woman that gets him?
Yeah.
And so that's a primal thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that it's happening in everyday life. With business, people can be really competitive.
Yeah.
With brands, I mean, with anything, you know? And it's like when you find that person who you can really feel safe with, like, you immediately know when you meet someone and you're like, they have some type of thing.
Yes.
With me.
Yes.
And then you meet someone and you're like, this feels so safe. Like, they're so confident in themselves that they can be so open to supporting other women, bringing them along and helping them build their businesses up, you know, things like that. That's how I felt like Shannon was for me. But she brought me to so many incredible opportunities.
I remember that.
Yes. We were doing so many huge mastermind groups together. And she was like, come with me, come with me, come with me. And I was like, thank you so much for this.
Shout out to all the friends that will put you in a room. Yes. Whether it's just saying your name in a room or bringing you there physically.
Yes. And then that was a really beautiful way for me to start feeling like I want to do that for other people, you know? So now whenever I have the opportunity to do that for people, I'm so happy to do it. Cause it's like, I have nothing, I'm not in competition with you at all because I'm so sure of myself and who I am.
Goes back to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so just like anyone out there who is feeling competitive with their friends or with people in business or anything like that, when you can fully realize that collaboration over competition is going to fulfill your life so much more than anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's so fulfilling while being wise, knowing that not everyone operates that way.
Yeah.
And so being wise with your connections and your friendships, because some people
aren't built like that.
Some people will do you dirty.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn.
But the safe stuff absolutely exists and it's out there. And if you want it, put yourself in position to have that in your life, because I'm telling you, sisterhood, true sisterhood, those bonds, those connections, man, it is the most amazing medicine.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could not imagine the last 4 years of my life without my current friend group. Like, I just could not imagine going through any of the stuff that I have gone through without them. And so it's so important. And honestly, I feel like for anyone who doesn't have a good relationship with like your biological sisters, I just like feel when people say like, oh, we don't have a good relationship or we don't talk or something happened, I'm just like, what? Like, how can you let that happen?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, understand, but
sometimes it's like, sometimes it's the you're better off without it.
Yes, and if that's
thing.
the dynamic, like there's toxicity, of course, but the ego will create so much friction in friendships and in any relationship, and being able to be vulnerable and just put your cards on the table and say, I messed up, I'm so sorry, or this is how you made me feel, or this, I'm sorry if I made you feel this way. Literally, it's like hands clean, washed. Now we can start over.
Yeah.
But so many people let their egos get in the way, and it ruins beautiful friendships because no one can be that bigger person and just open up that conversation.
Yeah.
And so if anyone out there is having a dynamic like that, consider being the safe space for that conversation.
What episode did we talk about this? I think it was in season 1 where we talked social dynamics and like communication. So if you're listening to this and you know that you're somebody who needs to sharpen up how you show up in relationships, I would go back and listen to the social dynamics episode of Humanhood.
Yeah. It was episode 2.
It was episode 2?
Season 1, episode 2.
Look at her. Look at her go.
I think. Don't hold me to it, though.
No, it wasn't episode 2 because episode 2 I was bawling about my dad.
Yeah, communication.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
Bawling about my dad.
All right, you guys. This has been a really beautiful conversation, and I want to give you a hug after this.
For sure.
A good one. Okay. We love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. We hope this message resonated. Whether you're somebody who's seeking sisterhood, you know you're that person and you want those relationships in your life, or you know that you do have to do some inner work to become the type of person that can call in those relationships in your life. We hope that this conversation inspired you. We hope that you share it with a sister or some friends. Also, for all of the women who are seeking sisterhood, come to Womanhood Wellness Weekend in October 10th through the 13th. We will put the link in the description for that. There's only 5 spots left. The truest sisterhood from a room full of strangers is created after that experience. Our tagline is, come as strangers, leave as sisters. Thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe. Please leave a review if you feel called to, so that we could keep this thing going.
Your whole energy just changed. Y'all, please subscribe.
For real, like, because I'm like,
listen, get down to business.
We need y'all to show the love so that we can keep this thing rocking and rolling. Yes.
Tag a sister.
Tag a sister. Love you guys. Until next time.
Bye.